So hello, ASLO members. I'm Michael Pace, and this is my report, which I've entitled President's Report for the virtual business meeting, now 10 November 2020. It's a President's Report because I wanted to cover activities that occurred during my term as president, which ended June 30th, 2020, and which we would have heard about at the business meeting in Madison if it could have been held. However, I'm now past president, just so you know, and you'll be also hearing from Roxanne Mélanger, the current president. And so this report covers what's happened, and she'll be telling you what's been done since she took over the office. So briefly, I just wanted to highlight a few things about our publications. We underwent a few editorial transitions during the past year or so, one of which was Pat Serrano moved to NSF and stepped down as editor-in-chief of Limnology and Oceanography Letters, and I thank her for her service there. And she was replaced by Jim Klern, who's taken over the position and is doing an excellent job leading the journal while Pat serves at NSF. The other change was Maggie Xenopoulos completed her term as deputy editor of Limnology and Oceanography, and I want to thank her for her work as deputy editor, and especially acknowledge her wonderful contributions to the organization and execution of a number of special issues while she was in that position. Generally speaking, our journals are thriving. We're getting increasing numbers of downloads of articles for the ASLO journals, and citation rates and impact factors are showing improvements. And so by all standards, our journals are doing very well and are ranked highly in the journal areas that they are part of. And so we're pleased with how the journals are doing. Another important note about publications is that we signed a new 5-year deal with Wiley to continue as our publisher. Wiley brings a great deal of professionalism to the publication process and produces excellent quality journals and manages the editorial process for us, that is the production of papers and the mechanics of the review process and so on. And they have done a very good job at that, and we're pleased with the work and the relationship we have with Wiley. And I should also add that this arrangement with Wiley also helps us financially as we go forward as a society. I want to say a few words about meetings in 2020 and beyond. The Ocean Sciences meeting held in San Diego in February 2020 was very successful and had nearly 6,000 registrants. We got that in prior to the pandemic, and it was a wonderful science meeting with great attendance and great science. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the summer joint meeting between ASLO and Society of Freshwater Sciences, which would have been another great meeting, I think. But, and it was to be held in Madison, Wisconsin in June of 2020, but of course, pandemic conditions did not allow that. And so the meeting was canceled. We're planning a 2021 Aquatic Sciences meeting in Mallorca, and you'll hear more about that, but the main news is that we were postponed the original winter, the original schedule being for February in the winter of 2021 to the more favorable, we hope, time in June 2021. And so you'll hear more about that meeting as time goes on, and even in this report from ASLO in this business meeting. But we're looking forward to that meeting, and we hope that as much as possible, we might be able to meet in person in the summer of 2021 in Spain. I want to highlight a couple of other points before I close. One is we continue with LOREX, which is a novel and new program for ASLO. NSF has provided us with a grant, and we're sponsoring research experiences for graduate students to go abroad and do research with partners in foreign countries. And we've had a very successful set of cohorts of grad students go over and do their programs with investigators in other countries, such as Sweden and Israel and Australia, to name a few. And that's gone very well. Unfortunately, in summer 2020, we had to cancel, or perhaps a better word is postpone the trips due to COVID-19. So we will get that cohort of 2020 grad students to their destinations eventually, and we hope to do that starting in 2021. But the program's ongoing. We're very excited about it. It continues to be a great program for ASLO, and we're looking at options for possibly putting in a renewable grant in the future to continue that work if we can be funded. I also wanted to note that in the last business meeting that the last board meeting that I presided over as president, the decision was made to establish a race relations task force for ASLO, and that was done in June of 2020. And we have proceeded since then to develop a number of plans for this group to execute over the coming months and year to develop and increase the inclusivity, equity, and diversity of our society, and to allow us to better learn about each other and work together more fruitfully and enhance understanding and so on. So you're going to be hearing more about this in the future. It represents an important new initiative for ASLO. And really, it's very important for not only ASLO, but for science in general to tackle these issues. And we are trying to do so in a thoughtful, deliberate, but aggressive way. And we're going forward with that. Finally, I'm going to close by just saying thanks to all those who have supported me during my time as president, my 2 years as president. I now serve you as past president, but I couldn't have done it without all the efforts provided by Team ASLO. And that's a broad group of people. And I can't thank them all individually, but I owe them a great deal of gratitude for their work for ASLO and in support of me during my time as president. And I'd like to conclude by saying it's been an honor to serve you as ASLO's president, and I look forward to serving you now as ASLO's past president. Thank you.
Greetings, and thank you all for attending our virtual business meeting. I'm Diane Greenfield. As Secretary, it is my honor to provide an update on our society's membership demographics and trends. It has been a difficult and unprecedented year. Yet, ASLO remains strong due in no small part to our diverse and talented membership. The information I'm about to share are data from the number of people who chose to share membership demographic information, approximately 90%. This information is important because it allows the board to make strategic decisions about how to best serve our ever-changing society. We had 3,986 active members in 2019, which is 864 fewer members than 2018. This level is now nearly identical to membership levels from 2017. Focusing on demographics since 2001, when we started to add multiple membership categories, beginning with students, this is a timeline which shows our 4 largest membership categories. All membership categories are displayed in the 2019 pie chart. Approximately 22% of our membership has been students up until the last few years, when student membership increased to now where it is, which is about 1/3, which is fantastic news. One note, this decline in the percentage of regular members in 2012 is coincident with when ASLO added the early career membership category. Now, early career members are about 1/5 of our total membership. Some notable changes since 2018. Since that time, most membership categories decreased in numbers, particularly student and early career membership categories. Combined, these membership trends indicate that the 2018 bump may have been due to incentives associated with joining for the Puerto Rico meeting. Focusing on our new members, similarly, we had fewer new members who joined in 2018. However, the silver lining is that our renewals increased, particularly among students. This means that membership fidelity is trending positively. On an international scale, North America still constitutes the majority of our membership. Europe, particularly Germany, continues to be the second largest bloc, but that percentage is generally declining relative to other geographic regions, though the number of Spanish members are increasing. Of primary field, of the 3,877 respondents who provided their field, most identified their primary field as oceanography. However, limnology, and both limnology and oceanography combined, were 57% of members. Also, most people viewed their research as spanning more than one discipline. Regarding gender, there is a general trend for more members over time who identify as female in terms of percentage, though members who identify as male still constitute the majority of total members on any given year. Focusing just on 2019 data, there is still a very clear trend for older members to be male, and younger members to identify as female. This hopefully suggests that ASLO will continue its trend toward an equitable gender balance. The take-home messages are that ASLO member numbers are now similar to those during 2017, which were before the Puerto Rico conference, with the largest fluctuations coming from student and early career categories. Our retention rate remains strong, and ASLO continues its trend toward increasing membership diversity, both within field and among membership demographics. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Phil Taylor, the ASLO Treasurer. I'll give you a brief overview of financials for 2018 and 2019, the 2 full years since the Puerto Rico business meeting. I'll cover the financial audit of 2018, the financial results of both 18 and 19, putting these into a longer time frame, and then a summary of the ASLO investments. Okay, first, the audit. Short and sweet. Very positive news. The audit of 2000 financials showed that we have very well managed financial systems and reporting. The auditors gave minor suggestions for improvements on processes that we will readily adopt. On to the financials for 2018 and 19. Note the last 2 years on this graph. This is very coarse scale, but gives you the timeline for many years. The gross revenues are in purple, the gross expenses in gray, and the net overall results are in green. For 2018, we had predicted, and we did end with a modest deficit. The overall revenues were below the overall expenses. The overall expenses include both required operations like business offices, the board duties, our 2 ASLO employees, the editors of the journals, systems like systems improvements, and also very important discretionary programs that serve our members, such as student, early career, and international activities and programs. In 2009, this overall turned around to show a modest surplus at the end of the year, despite actually expecting in our budget that we would also have a year of a modest budget deficit. Next, we'll look at the finer scale, and I'll show you some graphs here of both 18 and 19, both revenues and expenses. On the left is with a long timeline. On the right are the revenues for various major categories. So you can take a look at this in detail later if you care to come back to it. There's the expense side. So taking a look at generalities with regard to 2018, first revenues, publishing continued the strong rising trend of revenue. Conference revenue bounced up very nicely. Conferences vary up and down based on 1 or 2 meetings held per year. There were 2 in 2018 contributing to revenue. They also vary up and down based on location and whether we manage the shared Ocean Sciences meeting. Membership trended up slightly. We had 2 meetings. Investment revenues trended higher with the general favorable markets. These, by the way, are dollars spun off from the investment accounts, not the assets themselves. For 2018 expenses, most remained relatively stable, flat, slightly up or slightly down. Notable exceptions are a rise in board costs associated with governance meetings. We had 2 instead of 1. And a noticeable rise in 2018 for student activities. The latter was anticipated by the board, which gave enthusiastic approval to an increase for travel awards for the conferences. Now for 2019, there is a different picture, very different picture. Publishing revenue flattened out after years of strong gains, shown in black here. Conference revenues decreased with only a single meeting this year. However, Viva Puerto Rico was another great meeting down there. Membership revenue decreased slightly, and investment revenue decreased significantly with the broad turmoil in the markets. For expenses side, both student and early career expenses jumped way up as the board had deliberately made a special increase in allocations to make a big show for the Puerto Rico meeting with elevated conference travel grants for younger scientists. General society expenses went way up with the one-time overhaul investment to a new association management system transition involving systems for membership, for conferences, for website, for communication. Board expenses went back down with only one meeting, and the other categories showed modest increases. Finally, for the ASLO investments, we have 3 separate ASLO accounts. All are invested in a balance of stock and bond assets using conservative mutual funds. First, looking at the long-term account, this is mainly a reserve to securely hold a baseline of 2 years of operational expenses should big financial stressors occur. The account holds our baseline minimum currently of $2.5 million. This account is also tapped for unusual operational needs that are not routine operations. For example, investments in infrequent strategic planning activities, major improvements and changes in operational systems, such as website revamping and the association management system installation. The long-term fund is replenished as a priority if it dips below the baseline. Next, the Cole Editorial Fellowship Fund. This started with a sizable donation some years ago. This account, now in 2020, fully supports the Cole Fellows Program. It has grown with continued and significant non-member donations, also with modest board and member personal donations, and also with the recent board-approved matching of donations from proceeds of the long-term account. Finally, the ASLO Futures Fund. This was started and also has grown via proceeds from the long-term account as well as from modest member donations. This account has supported important future enhancing ASLO programs such as student and early career, developing country scientist, and international programs. And it will continue to help support new programs for the future health of ASLO in the future. With this review, I can say with confidence that ASLO is in good financial health, underpinning the health and vitality of our organization and our sciences into the future. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa Curto, ASLO's Executive Director. I'm pleased to give you an update on some of our 2019 activities, including an overview of our publications program. So we had a number of projects that we were working on in 2019. This is a small sampling of those. We launched our new ASLO website and tools last October, roughly a year ago now. We've gotten some really good feedback on the website. We hope you're enjoying it. We made a board decision to move limnology and oceanography to online only and monthly publication effective in January. So very nice for the authors, eliminating color charges. Jim Claren joined us as the new editor-in-chief for ASLO Letters. We completed successfully the ASLO financial audit and got a clean bill of health on that. And we are continuing development of our unique Raylan Cole Editorial Fellowship and also our Lorex programs. So moving on to our publications program. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge all of the journal leadership, starting with Dave Hambright, Editor-in-Chief of LNO, Paul Kemp, Editor-in-Chief of LNO Methods, Jim Claren, L&O Letters, Adrian Sponberg, editor of L&O Bulletin, and Chris Philstrip, deputy editor of L&O Bulletin. I think a good place to start is a thank you before we get into the overview. So I would like to warmly thank all of the ASLO Journal Associate Editors. These folks work tirelessly for ASLO and for our journals, and we could not put out our journals without them, so thank you. Maybe some of you are watching. We'd like to thank ASLO reviewers who put in hundreds of thousands of hours over a decade for us reviewing manuscripts. The lifeblood of ASLO publication, our authors, thank you. And the ASLO Publications Committee, who's charged with the oversight of all of our journals. So just briefly, little overview of some of the high-level metrics from the portfolio. So what you see here is the number of institutional subscriptions. So the two primary objectives we've had for the last 5 or 6 years is to increase access to our publications and to also increase the number of people actually looking at our publications. And so we've had a lot of success there. Before we partnered with Wiley, you'll see over on the left-hand side, we had 715 institutional subscriptions, and that has grown at the end of 2019 to over 6,000 now. So that's a substantial increase, 786%. And in fact, just in the last 2018 to 2019, the growth was actually 11% in that year alone. And this does not include, the 6,000 does not include the over 6,000 subscriptions that we provide to developing countries through the Research for Life initiative. In terms of full text downloads, these are people downloading entire articles for viewing. In 2015, we sat at roughly about 500,000 downloads a year. This is across all of the ASLO journals. And in 2019, well, we broke 1 million downloads in 2018 and blew right past that last year, 1.35 million. So that's an increase of 158% since 2015 and 18% just in the last year alone. And it's not shown on the slide, but so far in 2020, we are already past the 2019 total as we sit in October. The journal impact factors were released by Clarivate in June, and we are really pleased that our newest journal, L&O Letters, our open access journal, got its debut impact factor in June. And did it ever get a debut? It came in at 5.25, ranking it number 1 of 22 in limnology and number 2 of 66 in oceanography. So congratulations to L&O Letters. Limnology and oceanography also increased its impact factor to 3.77, ranking it number 3 in limnology and number 5 in oceanography. And L&O Methods also bumped up its impact factor to 2.45, ranking it number 4 in limnology and number 23 in oceanography. So congratulations to all of the editors, authors, reviewers, associate editors for the journal. This is an excellent result for ASLO. Here we're showing some submission trends for all of our journals. In the blue, L&O, in the orange, Methods, in the gray, Letters, and in the yellow, L&O Bulletin. So you can see each year we have kind of a steady state of submissions, and we're going up a little bit. In fact, L&O has increased its submissions by about 10%. So you're looking at 2015 through 2019 here on the right-hand side. Methods is bouncing around 144 last year, and Letters at 81, and the Bulletin at 61. So these are very healthy results in terms of submissions. And these are the number of articles published in the period 2015 to 2019, again, across the portfolio. So you can see we're down slightly in 2019 from the prior years, the prior 2 years, and that's basically owing to the fact that Letters published slightly fewer articles because it published a special issue in 2018. So we have a special issue coming up next year. We expect that to go back up high. And we had a little bit of a drop for L&O Methods, and that was actually not due to decrease in submissions, but a decrease in the acceptance rate for manuscripts for that year. And we don't expect that to continue either, actually. And then I thought I'd finish off by just giving you kind of a nice look at what are the most downloaded articles across the portfolio. So this is showing L&O. And for those of you who are going to try to read this, since this is recorded, you can hopefully stop your screen and actually take a look at all of these. But I really wanted to highlight these because these are very important. And I'm sure that a lot of you are going to recognize most of the names here, if not all. So that's the most downloaded for 2019 for L&O. And here are the most downloaded for L&O methods. Take a look, your name might be on there. The most downloaded for L&O letters. And then the most downloaded for L&O bulletin. So that's it. I'd like to extend a special thank you to all of the people who serve ASLO in addition to our editors. Thank you to Adrian Sponberg, our Director of Communications and Science. Thank you to Schneider Group, our long-term business office and conference management team. Thank you to Paul Kemp, who serves not only as L&O methods editor, but also as the ASLO web editor. And thank you most of all to ASLO's members. We appreciate every one of you, and we look forward to serving you in the coming year. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Adrian Spomberg, Director of Communications and Science, and this is probably take 3 or 4 of this. I have caffeine so that hopefully I don't take as long as I have been taking. Anyway, moving on. Communications. I will make this short and just say one of my goals as Director of Communications, beyond making sure you know what's going on, is to not spam you with email. And in that vein, I do hope that you are following us on our social media channels. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. New this year on social media is the ASLO Opportunities Twitter handle. This Twitter handle is dedicated to tweeting the job and student announcements that are posted on aslo.org. We send them through Twitter so they can be shared, and we also will retweet opportunities that other people tag us in. So if you're looking for a job or you're posting jobs, follow us, tag us, and we'll pass everything along. All right, next. YouTube. I know a lot of you are doing virtual distance learning right now. If you're looking for videos of someone other than you talking to share with your student, try our YouTube channel. We have almost 100 hours of science talks available. This includes awards, presentations, plenary videos, educational videos. There's a lot of really great content there. Science, policy, communication, you name it. So check it out if you're looking for some new content, and subscribe if you feel like it. Okay, onto the science side. We are about halfway through our NSF grant for the Limnology and Oceanography Research Exchange program. This is a program that ASLO is running along with ASLO member Adina Payton from the University of California, Santa Cruz. So far, over 2 cohorts, we've had 46 students. They're from 36 unique institutions in the US, working with 42 unique collaborators and 7 research institutes in 4 countries. The first cohort completed their travel between May 2019 and March 2020. This slide is just to get you a little curious about what they were up to. They have posted about 52 blogs so far on aslo.org. I encourage you to check them out. Lots of really great travel stories, as well as some of the challenges of international research. Which was, after all, the goal of the LORX program. I should have said that last slide. It's an NSF grant to provide training in international research collaboration for graduate students. So one of the training lessons that we've all learned this year is to expect the unexpected and plan for things to go wrong. Clearly, a lot of things have gone wrong in 2020. And you can imagine that a program for international research in this day and age has been challenging this year. Luckily, the year did get off to a good start. We added a new site the the inter-university group for limnology. The faculty that are based out of Montreal will be participating, available as hosts for LORAC students. The second cohort of students completed their orientation at the Ocean Sciences meeting in February. Unfortunately, their planned exchanges for the summer are obviously on hold. Also, the applications for the third cohort also on hold due to COVID. We're just keeping an eye on the situation, and we will send the students when it's safe to do so. It's not like the students have just been sitting around. We've had quite a few Zooms. They've been doing a lot of publications, a lot of working in groups, and several of the students from the first cohort have produced a living handbook for international research collaborations. If you go to aslo.org to the LORAC page, you'll see it over on the right-hand menu. And while some of that is very LORAC specific, most of it's general advice on how to conduct international research. And then lastly for LORACs, we didn't want to lose momentum after the Ocean Sciences meeting. So we've launched an e-mentoring and networking program to allow the students to find peers across cohorts, across study sites, form groups, keep connected. So that's worked out really well. All right, last but not least, the ASLO Awards. I'd like to remind you that the nominations for ASLO Fellows and Awards are open until mid-December this year. Because the conference in Palma has been pushed back from February to June, that gives us some extra time. So that gives you extra time to get your nominations in. And then finally, our 2020 awardees, there are 5 of them that were supposed to present and be recognized at the Madison meeting, which was obviously canceled. We are pulling together a virtual awards reception for our awardees. And you will get an email about that soon. And we really hope to see you there. It would be great to see everyone in Zoom and do our little Zoom waves. In the meantime, everyone stay safe, and looking forward to seeing you when it's safe to do so again. Bye.
Hello, I'm Paul Kemp. I'm editor of the ASLO website. ASLO's had a website for about 25 years now. And about 3 years ago, this was the version that was put into place, and it existed up until about 1 year ago. The new website looks like this. Now, I'm not going to do what I usually do, which is to give some stats about downloads and page views and all this sort of thing. I decided I would just talk about what's on the website, what kinds of things are on a website. Well, what does the website do? The ASLO website does an awful lot of things. It, of course, provides information to the public, also provides information for members, news, announcements, opportunities. It supports the committees and the board. It supports meetings, registering for meetings, a meeting website, scheduling things. It allows members to join and renew their membership, and it provides lots of support for different things that ASLO deems to be important. Give you a chance just to look at that for a second. About 5 years ago, ASLO started moving in a different direction. Rather than providing all these different kinds of services on a single website, it decided to use custom platforms that could do individual jobs much better than a website that tried to support everything. And so we now have 5 different platforms. The website is really a universe of websites. We have aslo.org that provides a great many things. We have MemberSuite, where all the member services and the member records are kept. The financial database supports committee functions, board functions, and it has a job career center. We also partner with Wiley. That's where our publications are hosted. We use ScholarOne for all of our publications now for submission and review. We use OpenWater for meeting registration, meeting scheduling, other kinds of meeting services. And we also have a little constellation of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube that we're very active on. Now, I don't run all of this by any means. In fact, I mostly handle ASLO.org. Adrienne Sponberg, who's Director of Communication and Science, and her communication team provide a great deal of content to the website. Chris Schneider in the ASLO Business Office mostly operate the meeting portions of the site. Open Water, for example, a lot of the membership services on MemberSuite. Alice Smith and the team at Wiley handle our interactions, all interactions with authors on our behalf. A lot of contributions come from individuals, particularly the Raylan Cole Fellows have been very productive in that way. And Teresa Curto, our esteemed executive director, basically keeps us all coordinated and on task. Takes a lot of people to run a website this complicated. How do we know what to do with the website? Well, we study it. We study it a lot. We have a lot of tools available to us that we can look at components of the website and how people interact with them. So for example, we can look at, on the left side, where do people click on the website? Are the buttons in the right places? Are the links easy to get to? How do people move around a page that they've landed on? And the one in the middle looks at, where did they rest their mouse cursor while they were reading? The one on the right looks at, how do people scroll down pages? How far down a page can you put contents and still have people find it? Very important point, right? We can also examine connections within the website, but also outside the website, for example, with social media. So this is a look at incoming traffic coming from Twitter posts. And it goes to a number of different pages. The red downward flowing waterfalls here, that indicates that someone has found what they were looking for and they've dropped off the website. And most of the things that people come to the website from Twitter, they're looking for opportunities that were posted on Twitter. We discover things using this kind of technique. For example, this is an exploration of visits from different countries. And we discovered, quite to my surprise, that users coming from the Philippines were primarily visiting a single page, and that page happens to be all about resources for educators. If you're an educator and you want to tell people what is aquatic sciences anyhow, that's the page you'd go to. So there's a lot on the website. We're doing our best to put it at your disposal. We're contributing very actively. We're rearranging as needed to make it work better. I suggest you just go and browse rather than looking for something that you specifically need. Why don't you try browsing around the website a bit, see what you can discover. Educated resources, that's the one that the people from the Philippines particularly were interested in. There's a lot of stuff for science communication resources. There's a lot of stuff about opportunities in programs that ASLO sponsors. We have this large collection of awesome plenary presentation videos. Take a look at that. We also like to feature the creativity of our members. Take a look at what's in the online media library. You'll probably enjoy it if you enjoy photography of water and the universe. Thanks very much.
Hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Roxanne Mirage. I'm the new incoming president of ASLO as of July 1, 2020. I'm going to be presenting briefly on some upcoming events and what's planned for 2021. Our Mallorca meeting has been postponed till June 2021, and it is planned as a hybrid meeting, both face-to-face with virtual options to provide everyone an opportunity to attend. And to transition to a fully virtual meeting need be, but we are really hoping that travel restrictions will be lifted at that time and that we'll be able to hold at least part of the meeting face-to-face and profit from virtual attendance to increase participation. There are 88 special sessions that have been submitted, and it's an excellent organizing committee. So we really look forward to this wonderful meeting. Also, since our board meeting in June 2020, we have established a race relations task force to address issues related to racism in science and to increase inclusivity and foster a more diverse ASLO, or to find mechanisms in order to do so. We are working rather deliberately within this task force to achieve this aim. You should have received by now a demographic survey that we have sent out to better understand the challenges and needs of our members who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as the needs of other members in order to become more supportive allies. And we are planning to hold a series of activities into the new year to help increase the understanding and provide tools and develop programs to this aim. So please stay tuned for this. There are some upcoming virtual events. Adrian has spoken to the toast to celebrate our awardees, but I'd also like to encourage you to support the Black and Marine Science Week, which will be held between November 29th and December 5th. And this is a grassroots movement of a group of Black early career scientists, some of whom are ASLO members, to amplify the voices of BIPOC scientists, marine scientists. So I encourage you to participate and look out for that event. And finally, I would like to express my gratitude to everyone that helps ASLO and thank members for your participation and service in so many ways. And if you have anything you'd wish to share with us, please contact us through our business office. And I thank you very much for listening.